Hello, everybody. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. I think about the time we're going to start. It's my pleasure to know you. My name is Noparat Bamrungrat, as a professor in Faculty of Environment, Prince of Songkhla University, to speak on the topic of sustainable peat swarm management in the basin. However, my topic can be classified into small parts. Number one is the definition of peat swarm or peatland, and after that, I'm going to talk about the formation of peat swarms, and next, common issue and concerns or threat. After that, we're going to focus on our peat swarm area in Songkhla Lake Basin. And next one going to be video showing the activities at our peat swarm Songkhla Lake and strategy or goal for the sustainable peat swarm management, mainly in Thailand, because we used to work on the inventory of peat swarm in Thailand before, and after that we can talk about the goals of strategy, and lastly the key measures for such management. As for my name is, I told you before, my name is Noparat Bamrungrat. My background, at the moment I am the head of Wetland Research Center at Faculty of Environmental Management, Prince of Songkhla University. And my educational background is that I have my bachelor degree in botany in Kuala Lumpur University, Thailand, and my diploma and master degree in science in agriculture at the University of New England, Australia, and my doctoral degree at North Carolina State University, USA, in crop science. So my work mainly in crops, in plant. I used to work on mangrove and peatland for more than 30 years. So today I can share with you my experience that can be discussed later on. The definition of peat swarm. What is peat swarm? I think peat swarm you have in your country. Mostly in tropical zones, and some of them in temperate zone. It's called bog or marsh, but in tropical area, we normally call it peat swarm forest, bog or something like that. You can see the area where the water flood, and some trees growing there, and some grass growing. Okay. What is this? What is a swarm? What is the definition of swarm? A swarm normally is an area of land permanently saturated or filled with water. That's the definition. Swarms are dominated by trees. That's different from bogs in the temperate zone. Bog mainly by moss, sphagnum moss. The name of swarm or one of the wetland, one of the wetland area may be called swarm, may be called marsh in some country, bog or fen or what else, different name. There are many names for this wetland. They are often named for type of tree that grow in them that was swamp, such as cypress swamp or hardwood swamp. Freshwater swamps are commonly found inland, while saltwater swamps are usually found along coastal area. Well, the swamps are predominantly forests, while marsh have few. if any tree, but are home of to grasses and herbaceous plants, including annuals, perennial, or whatever. Okay, there are three kind of marsh: tidal freshwater marsh, tidal saltwater marsh, and inland freshwater marsh. That is for marsh. The name are normally synonyms. Don't worry about that too much. It depends on what kind of tree grows. Depend on what called physical character of the area or topography of the area. Then the name may be different a little bit, you know, for swamps. In Thailand, some people call swamp forest. Normally there are forests. There is forest over there. So you can call swamp or swampy forest or what do you call peatland. Some of them they call peatland. Quite similar anyway. But the swamp may be divided into two major classes. Swamp may be divided into two major classes, depending on the type of vegetation presence, shrub swamp and forest swamps. Due to the nutrient-rich soil present in the swamp, many of these fertile woodlands have been drained and cleared for agricultural purpose and other developments that affected the problem of the swamp. Now you can see the formation of the swamp. Just I want to summarize before going to detail later on. Okay. This can be lake or whatever, like a Songkla lake. And after that, the lake is filled with remain of the plants, dead plant, and accumulate there for a long time. It eventually become peat there. The peat formation. The peat come from the what the meaning of peat. Peat is the remains of the fallen tree of organic matter that accumulate in the low area. And for a long time, it may become a dome shape later on, like below there, the dome shape. And at the beginning, at early stage, grass grow. And after that, tree come later on, the tree. You know? So some people call it peat swamp forest or peat swamp. So depend on what the character of this kind of wetland. Okay, and for peat, that's the question that what is peat? Peat is a what do you call incomplete decay of mainly plant, fallen plant, fallen leaf or whatever, fallen branch, and underwater or absorb water. Peat have to be wet. The important thing is peat must be wet or flooded all the time. What happened? What happened if peat is drained? Little water or no water there. Without water, the peat will be dry up. And when it dry up, it exposed to the air, to oxygen mainly, and oxidation occurs. When oxidation occurs, also it bacteria or microorganisms work and release carbon dioxide to the air, to the atmosphere. This causes greenhouse effect, warming the globe, warming the globe. So that's why we have to maintain, to keep, to conserve the peaceful forest as much as we can. peatlands form where climate, bedrock, and uh, what is that? Create area with permanent water saturation. They either develop in shallow water, oblate sediment, distorted or whatever. There are two major types of peatland, bog, fen, or whatever they call it. Okay. Peat swamp or peatland may be defined as peatland. What do we build? I give you a definition of peat because different author, different group of scientists they call differently and they define different from the normal definitions. For example, some say peatland are a kind of wetland ecosystem whose soil is made almost entirely from dead and decaying plant materials, which decompose slowly under year-round waterlogged condition. That's important. They occur in almost every country on Earth and cover about 3% of global land surface, as well as being home to significant and unique biodiversity. They also punch above their weight in carbon. It means that carbon sequestration, they have plenty of carbon and water there, plenty of water there, slashing twice as much as carbon as the bone forest. It had carbon more than the natural forest. As you can see, this the peat. I took the photo a few years ago in our area. You can see a picture there. This is a decaying material or incomplete decay. You see this yellow color. We call it sulfur or pyrite compound. In the yellow compound. Yeah. And this is plant materials, decay plant material. Remnant of plant material that incomplete decomposition. What happened if normally peat have to be underwater, must be wet all the time, because wet condition it prevent oxygen enter the peat. If the peat exposed to oxygen, eventually oxidation occurs, not what I said before, and release carbon dioxide to the air because decomposition occurred there and release carbon dioxide to the air. If it dry, okay. In the wet condition, oxygen cannot enter, and that keep peat underwater, maybe several meters thick. In some area, more than 10 meters, but in our area, about 2 to 3 meters deep. It depends on the area and how long how long deposition occurs. And when we drain the area, when we drain this, you can see this peat, may catch fire easily. Because if it is dry, catch fire easily. So they produce or release more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Therefore, peat is one of the major carbon sink or carbon storage on Earth. Some say that it has a capacity 2 to 3 times of carbon storage, higher than natural forest. The most important thing is that peat have to be wet. It has to be underwater to protect or to prevent oxygen enter to peat. And also, this yellow color sulfur or pyrite. When it is dissolved in water, it becomes acidic. So peat also have the property of acidic. When it absorb water or flood with water. When the tree growing on the peat, that kind of flora must adapt to this kind of condition, such as acidic condition and plenty of water. So the tree may have different character as compared to land plant. Normally, peat swamp is the home of many flora and fauna. For example, rare or endangered species stay or feed or or refuse in the peat swamp. Also, different kind of plant that can be well adapted to the condition can be grown. When you want to restore peat swamp, you must be careful about what kind of plants, what suitable plants to grow there. Someone they try to restore peat swamp by growing land plant. So the plant may die because of not suitable to the area, not well adapted to the flood area or high moisture content of the soil. Some grass can be grown there. Most of them cannot. So you have to select the plant if you want to restore the peat swamp area. Swamp and other wetlands have traditional and very low property value compared to the field. People think that normally people think peat swamp is very low value, not valuable much. Actually, it is important for the global warming and for the ecosystem of the globe, of our environment. And people have little knowledge or not clearly understand what the value of peat swamp. They have reputation for being unproductive. They have a reputation for being unproductive land that cannot easily be utilized for human activities. For example, agriculture, some want to grow oil palm, some want to grow vegetable. It's not easy, other than hunting and trapping. So they know that good place for hunting and trapping or fishing. Farmer, for example, typically drain swamp next to the field so as to gain more land usable for planting crops. In some country, they destroy peat swamp for logging, and they dig the canal to drain water in some country, and eventually the water flow out from the peat swamp and become dry. What happened if the peat land become dry? What I said before, when it dry up, decomposition occur and release CO2, carbon dioxide to the air. And when the peat dry up, it catch fire easily, cause the trouble to the environment. You hear in some country that when the peat lands catch fire, it produces smoke for a week or even a month. The visibility for driving is very low. So you hear this situation every year. Peatland are found in 180 countries worldwide. In tropical area, we found in most countries, even upland area, or even in desert, and spread across on country from naturally forest peatland in Europe and tropical peatland in Southeast Asia to vast permafrost area of Russia and Canada, and high mountain peatland in the Andes and the Himalayas. So peatlands you can find anywhere. Normally, when I said before, peatland covers 3% of the world land area, an estimated 4 million square kilometers. Peatland are the world's largest tourist and carbon stock, storing at least 550 gigatons of carbon globally. That's a lot, more than twice the carbon stored in on the world forest. Now you know that how important the peatland can affect the world ecosystem. That our peatland forest in our area, the water saturated, in dry season, little water there, but in wet season, normally flooding, and some plant can grow there. Only some kind of plants. Not every plant can grow. Sorry. If a stream running through a peat swamp forest, the water in the stream is red with tannins from the acid sulfate leach peat composed of many different plant species. In tropical area, peat accumulates because vegetation is productive enough to overcome the volume loss to accelerate the decomposition of tropical climate. Why is peat so important? That I have been said. Study done have shown that peat swamps are important ecosystems. They have unique flora and fauna that have adapted to the acidic condition in peat swamp, such as water, trumpet, and species of pointing feet or whatever. They are important for many reasons, such as water storage and flood mitigation. As for flood, normally swamp can store plenty of water. Excess water from rain normally it flow into the lowland. So in our area, in Thailand, we have about 76, 77 of peat swamp. It can help in flooding quite a lot. Without peat swamp, flooding may be severe. So you have to be careful when you try to destroy peat swamp, particularly when we work with Basin. A lot of people want to change the swamp into agricultural area, or change to other purposes for urbanization or whatever. It can be dangerous, can be damage to the area we are living. Peat swamp are very important store of carbon. We call them carbon sink. If on peat swamp what we move and burn, this will quickly release the huge volume of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, as I said before, and contribute to the greenhouse effect. Big important things. Why we are working on the story of Basin, we have to realize the importance of peat swamp in our area too. It doesn't mean we change and drain the water. That the other story that cause trouble to the atmosphere or to the global effect at home. So please be careful of that. Common issue and concern. Normally peat fire, peatland fire, and haze pollution. In our area, in Songkla Lake Basin, we have quite large peat swarm, cat fire. I would say almost every year, large or small area, and sometimes it's a cool school closed and airports closed because of haze pollution. So peatland fire is quite cause a damage to the area. Community livelihood. People exploit natural resource from the peat swarm for fishing, for some of them in our area, they cut we call shaded grass for handicrafts. They make a handicraft by using this kind of grass, or fishing, or even medical plants. Some medical plants in the community, they use peat swarm for that. And some use water even for daily living from the peat swarm. Normally, the problem is over exploitation of peatland and its resource. Now, in many countries in Southeast Asian area, they grow oil palm or oil palm plantation is still popular at the moment. Growing oil palm, what happened? Normally they have to dig the canal to drain the water first. Without draining, oil palm have a difficulty to grow. So they drain this swamp. They cut the forest. This is our problem in our area at the moment. The invasion of oil palm plantation. Because of this, we have to think about management. Okay, you can use the land, but you have to be careful about water in the peatland or peat swamp area. If you drain water and grow oil palm, eventually the peatland will be dry, or peat swamp will be dry out, catch fire, and release CO2, carbon dioxide to the air. So the problem drainage and deforestation is the major problems for the peat swamp area in our South Asia at the moment. The other thing is loss of biodiversity. When the swamp are destroyed, less flora and fauna. In the Songkla Lake area, we have migratory birds, because migratory birds visiting this swamp land every year. What happens if the swampland or peat swamp are destroyed? So all of these birds, these flora and fauna will be less or disappear. And carbon loss is a concern. Introduction of pests and diseases. When the swamps or peatland are destroyed, new pests and diseases may visit the area. The other concern is lack of knowledge regarding management. We don't know how to manage the swamp, because why use it means how to live with the balance balance of ecosystem, not destroy them, and we can live with them. We can exploit them. That's the question of management. And number 9, current registration and policy. We seem have listen knowledge, particularly in science, in scientific knowledge, before legislation and policy. However, in Thailand, last year, we tried to propose goal or strategy to manage the peat swamp in Thailand to the government. So we're waiting for the adoption of this policy. The issue of definition, definition, define, how to define. The question is that now people or local community, they don't know much what the border of the peat swamp area, where, how far it's go, and definition. I mean that in our area, in Songkhla Lake area, we have 2 basins in the northern part of Songkhla Lake. We call Songkhla Lake Basin and Pak Phanang Basin. The 2 areas. And Pak Phanang Basin, we have also non-hunting office. We have 2 non-hunting office in this area, not two non-hunting office. And each office is responsible for each area. So how we define the meaning of peat swamp, peat land, non-hunting area? How far away it is? Where is the border? For management, we should do something about the area, such as for what do you call buffer area, reserve area, or area for people to use that kind of thing. We have to border the zone, non-hunting zone or conservation zone, buffer zone or whatever. That definition should be issued or should be drafted carefully. This is character of the peat swamp forest. You can see there, when the water is high, the level of the water is high, the different plant species, this aquatic plant growing there. Aquatic plants, when they grow for a long time, it deposits. When it die or dead, deposit in the area, and accumulation occur. And this land eventually may become peat or peatland later on. At higher area, you can see this tree growing there, and this may become peatland. This at the early stage, But once the water level down, peatland going up and up, and water down there, and new species grow. And eventually, when the water back to the lowest level, many grass species grow. So, when you want to restore the peat swamp area, you've got to know where this plant can restore or can grow. A lot of people, they don't know the grow tree around here or grow some species in some area. You have to know that we call succession of plants. The succession, it means plant grow in different zone, different area, depend on the condition of the land. Therefore, when you grow you restore the peat area, or swamp area. When you want to restore, you have to use the right species of plant. You should not grow tree at this area. It won't grow because the moisture content is high. Also for water. For water, when the peat level is high here, they receive mainly rainwater. Rainwater have little minerals, only few or little minerals. So in this area, in the lowland area, water may come from runoff water from the upland area. But why the higher area only rainwater? Therefore, the plant growing there have to be adapted to low nutrients soil. There are many species. You have to select the right one to grow. Otherwise, it's not successful to restore the peatland. And you can see that there's three. There's grass, different kind of grass going there. In our area, they cut this grass for making handicrafts. If you visit our area, you can see handicrafts being sold in communities or even in the market with different color and different styles of handicrafts. They cut this kind of grass. You see the many kind of bird supported by peat swamp. So rain is important to keep your swamp move on. What happened if dry season is no rain? Peat swamp or peat will be dry. When the peat dry, it releases carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. In Asia, tropical peat swamps are located in mainland East Asia and Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, peatlands are mainly found in low altitudes, coastal and subcoastal areas, and extend inland for distance more than 100 kilometers along river valleys and across watersheds. This is Southeast Asia. Indonesia had the highest area of peat swamp forest or peatland in Southeast Asia. So that Malaysia, Thailand have some. The major peatland area are located in Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, Vietnam, and Thailand. Peatland in Southeast Asia, 60% of the world tropical peatland, 75 million hectares. But now, a lot of them are disappeared. A lot of them. The reason, what I said before, exploitation, turn the area into agricultural land, or catch fire or whatever. I know that in some countries now only half of them left because of this kind of disturbance. Refrain from Hafiz on Muhammad. A bit information. This one, peatland here. This is a peatland here. I want to say about just to clarify. This peatland forest is tropical area. Organic matter plus 90% water is a dome shape after accumulation for a long time. Eventually, the tree grows. In some area near the cotton zone, I heard some in Malaysia, in some area, this area, peatlands, is drained or are drained out. And when it got drained, carbon it oxidize to carbon dioxide, and the peat become subside or sink, sink because of carbon or organic matter here decompose. If they destroy this tree or turn to agricultural area, or we call deforestation, and it's year after year, water can move into this area. So the land is useless eventually, or chink, or subsidence, or subside down, and the water from the sea can move into. Flooding occur easily. Be very careful when we work with the peatland area. Particularly for those working on basin management. See that before, when the kind of tree, that the succession state, water, the aquatic one, and after that, covered by grass, and eventually, finally, by tree. So, how long the peatland, or how old, or whatever? Eventually, the area turned to be the tree like this. We call peatland, because underneath there are peat accumulated underneath. We call peatland. If still plenty of water there, somebody called swamp, or someone called this area swamp, peat swamp, because of some water flood the tree also. So the name may be a little bit confused. Peatland or peat swamp or peat swamp forest. Peatlands cover just 3% of the world's surface. Only 3% of the world's surface. That's not enough, including tropical and temperate area like in Europe. Yet, hold nearly 30% of the soil carbon. That's quite a lot. You know that, from the peat accumulation for century, for million year, finally it changed to coal or to lignite million years. Now we use the fuel. We use coal, oil, or many kinds, or gases. That's all of them. We believe that it comes from organic matter that accumulate on Earth for million years. When we try to use the energy, we call it fossil fuel. Fossil will come from the tree or organic matter. So that kind of fuel release carbon or carbon dioxide to the air and cause warming. I think everybody knows that the plant normally it absorbs carbon dioxide at the early stage before life on Earth. We had evidence that the Earth covered with CO2 at the beginning, and no life on Earth. And after that, when the algae or aquatic plant occur, it absorbs carbon dioxide from the air and accumulate in that kind of algae. And after that, there are many marine animals. They have a chain that contain carbonate. So carbon from the air accumulate in the seashell, accumulate both algae and marine animal. when the when the aquatic plants invade the land, it become higher tree and still absorb carbon dioxide, reduce the carbon dioxide that cover the earth, absorb and by photosynthesis and change to starch, change to sugar, and eventually change into wood in the form of tannin, suberin, any kind of carbohydrate that accumulate in the plant and the leaf and the fruit. So carbon in the air, carbon dioxide in the air, change to carbon storage in the plant. When the plant die or plant decay or fallen leaf to fall to the ground, if there is water in the ground, decaying or decomposition can occur not completely in water because the short of oxygen. Thus, organic matter will be accumulate year after year in the ground, and become peat. What happened in the upland or in the land forest? Land forest, it had no water or little water or flood water, very little, or saturated water, little. So it became quite complete. No peat accumulation on land. This is why I try to point out that peat is important to keep carbon in the ground and reduce carbon emission or to balance global warming or and regulate climate by peat. Or if you let it stay for 1,000 years or for 1,000,000 years, it may become coal or lignite and more become fossil fuel, oil or gas or whatever. So if you know that this importance of peat, if the CO2 release again and again, even from fossil fuel, the world of the globe will be warm again. It change the climate, it's called flooding or whatever. So if everybody on earth were aware of that, we can help our earth. If everyone think, oh, not my work, not my duty, eventually the problem occur to the next generation. Okay. Anybody have a question or anything to discuss? Please do, any question now, because we talk quite a long time. If you have any question, please, you raise a question or discussion now. Can you hear me? Sorry, just a moment, please.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that informative presentation. Just wanted to ask, because you mentioned the importance of peatlands carbon sequestration.
Yes.
I just wanted to know if had there been attempts to construct one, like a man-made, or is it just naturally occurring?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of people try, even in Europe now, they try to construct wetland or construct peat swamp. About 10 years ago, I went to the meeting in Hong Kong on constructed peat swamp. If we can do that, will be very good, will be helpful. Please do try to imitate natural peat swamp. But there are some now. If you go to YouTube, you look at the constructed peat swamp or constructed wetland, probably you can see somewhere. Okay. Does that answer your question, Nathan?
Yes, sir. Can I ask another one?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Also, you mentioned that peatlands they need to be um, wet.
Yes,
So,
sure.
with the climate change, the rainfall isn't as much as before. So, is there any program or um, policies that require the government to sustain its moisture or water content?
That we are trying to do now, you know, because I would say that only we need a sound understanding of this before the government start to draft the policy. At the moment, everyone working on this. You know. If they understand the importance of wetland or peatland, what I have, I'm saying now, you know, policy, uh, regulation or whatever can move on easily. Even in Indonesia now, you know, the government need strong evidence from or they want scientific evidence, strong one. Some said the evidence not strong enough, with whatever, you know. But I would say now, you know, we have quite enough. If we wait for a long time, longer time, all of the world will be disappear in construction on Earth. You are from where? Nathan, you are in Sri Lanka or where?
Philippines, sir.
Where? What country?
Philippines. Philippines.
Philippines. Philippines, there are a lot of peatland forest of peaceable. I think now the government should have some kind of strategy or goal. In Thailand, we just proposed it last year, you know. Then we're going to say how to achieve this goal. I will show you later on, probably after uh, this story. Okay. Do you have any more question, Nathan?
Nothing else, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody more question? I can move on other things. I will show you the video after this. You know, what activity in the peace zone area in focus. We focus in our area or basin, which may be applicable to your areas as well. Okay. So next one, going to peace swamp of Songkla Lake Basin. Peace swamp, water lock, what I said before, how to go to this one. Peace swamp are waterlogged places made of death plant and cannot decompose. I said before, because of fetid swamp water or bad smell or water, fetid swamp water contain no oxygen. Over thousands of years, the organic remnants accumulate in the dense layer of peat that wind eventually turn into coal. When I'm sorry to repeat, because I know that some of our member in our group, we have different time zone. Some country in 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, it's difficult to join us. They can see from video later on because that co-recorded, you know. And the interested people can see later. So this is why I try to repeat, you know, my information. I'm sorry for anybody if being disturbed by information. I have to say again and again. Okay. Peace swamp are found in part of Thailand, on part of Thailand. The largest swamp is the Tok Dang. This is the largest one. In the south of this area, that about 150 kilometers south of our area. Followed by Kwan Kreng swamp. Kwan Kreng swamp is the focus point of our work. Kwan Kreng swamp in the Kosamrat and Patalung. Normally, you know, Kwan Kreng swamp, because the Kwan Kreng swamp system, because there are many small swamps connected to the large swamp. So from now on, we call Kwan Kreng swarm system or KK swarm system for East. It is a part of southern Thailand where most of the main project activity had been carried out. Contain the country's second largest peat swarm forest area. This peat swarm provide many ecosystem service, ranging from livelihood for local communities, acting as a rainwater and runoff reservoir, buffering from impact of rains and food, acting as a natural sediment filter. That's important. Natural filter is important because peat normally it's, in many countries they use peat to filter clean water. They put the peat in there and put the dirty water in, and they got the clean water. In many countries they use that way. However, in our area, we have swarm, with peat swarm up north. And when the runoff water or rainwater move into the swamp, drain into the lake, Songkhla Lake, that's good for the ecology or ecosystem of the lake because the water already clean enough. Because it's filtered by peat in the swamp. The water come to the lake. In some country, they use water in the swamp for drinking because they use peat as a filter. Okay. Kwan Kreng Peat Swamp that we're going to talk about. It located in Kreng district, Chawat district, okay, in the Noparat. I will show you the map later on with connecting area, the location here. This Songkhla Lake down there, and up here, we call Kwan Kreng Peat Swamp system. And the main area, Kwan Kreng, around here, there are many small peat swamp around here. Even around here, there are small swamp. As I said before that, there was evidence. It used to be the sea or lake before. And eventually, after accumulation of organic matter or fallen leaf, fallen tree, or from aquatic plant, it becomes shallow. And it had been predicted. One day, for the next 100 years, Songkhla Lake will be filled with the organic matter, will be filled with peat, become flattened one day, maybe more than 100 years. Songkhla Lake can be gone. If the sedimentation and accumulation still at this rate, therefore management is important. How to reduce accumulation rate? When we have to pay for, if you want to, if you want the lake to stay longer, mean you have to prevent accumulation. But accumulation is important for global warming. How to manage? How to manage that? That's the question. You have to pay the price for something. Okay. It used to be lagoon and filled with organic matter. There were many evidence showing that this area. Kwan Kreng sub-district in the Noparat province contain Thailand, okay. 65% of it is under threat of degradation. 65%. Villager here, also known as Kreng people, traditionally depend on peat swamp for water, food, as well as safeguards that is used to create handicrafts such as bag, mat, and basket. As they tend it, the peat swamp is the economic life, lie with the also called corn bearing area. Some corn the rice pot of the community. Okay. This that the other picture. This Songkla Lake. There is a small lake over there. We call Illinois. Small lake. I would say one day, if we don't do anything, this become peace swamp also. And now I heard that evacuation. What do you want to evacuate or dredging this area was done. Try to improve the lake, small lake here, because accumulation of peat still going on. This area of last peat swamp or peat swamp forest, what I say. Normally now, there are only some spot contain water in the rainy season, but some spot here are forest. We call peatland forest. Some is still swamp. And for peatland, here there are some kind of blocking and invaded by oil palm cultivation here. And also this area catch fire easier compared to this low area. This catch fire, the area catch fire every year, I would say. Yeah. So how to manage all these things? Well, the next one is going to be this show you the area of Konkring. How many hectare? This upper part, this the middle part, this lower part. Okay, this a little lake before going to the large Songkla Lake area down there. This lower part. Now we try to propose making it to the zone, different zone, buffer zone, or conservation zone, or whatever. No. This area, picture, the Konkring Peace Swamp. When I would show you the video or the activity of people living in the Peace Swamp, about 15 minutes. And after that, we have a break for 15 minutes. Okay. After video, we have a break. So video showing you activity and speaking in Thai, but we have English underneath, explanation underneath. You can see from video because you can understand. You can hear Thai speaking at the same time. But underneath, there is English.
สำนักงานนโยบายและแผนทรัพยากรธรรมชาติและสิ่งแวดล้อมหรือสผ.และโครงการพัฒนาแห่งสหประชาชาติหรือ UNDP ได้ตระหนักถึงการอนุรักษ์พื้นที่ป่าพรุที่ปัจจุบันมีจำนวนลดลงเนื่องจากขาดการดูแลพื้นที่ป่าอย่างเป็นระบบและใช้ทรัพยากรโดยขาดความรู้ความเข้าใจจึงได้จัดทำโครงการเสริมศักยภาพการจัดการระบบนิเวศป่าพรุเพื่อเพิ่มความสามารถในการกักเก็บคาร์บอนและอนุรักษ์ความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพอย่างยั่งยืนภายใต้การสนับสนุนงบประมาณจากกองทุนสิ่งแวดล้อมโลกหรือ JEF ซึ่งแนวทางการทำงานได้สอดคล้องกับแผนแม่บทบูรณาการจัดการความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพพุทธศักราช 2558 ถึง 2564 ของประเทศไทยในฐานะภาคีอนุสัญญาว่าด้วยความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพเพื่อให้บรรลุจุดประสงค์ของโครงการ 3 ข้อหลักคือเพิ่มศักยภาพในการคุ้มครองระบบนิเวศป่าพรุที่มีคุณค่าต่อการอนุรักษ์สูงและจัดการป่าพรุแบบบูรณาการใช้เทคโนโลยีเพื่อหลีกเลี่ยงการเสื่อมโทรมของป่าพรุและฟื้นฟูป่าพรุที่เสื่อมโทรมและพัฒนานโยบายและกลไกเพื่อการอนุรักษ์และการใช้ประโยชน์ป่าพรุอย่างยั่งยืนโดยใช้กระบวนการมีส่วนร่วมและได้รับความร่วมมือจากศูนย์วรรณศาสตร์ชุมชนเพื่อคนกับป่าหรือ RECOP พร้อมหน่วยงานภาครัฐจังหวัดองค์กรปกครองส่วนท้องถิ่นสถาบันการศึกษาและประชาชนในพื้นที่ภายใต้วิสัยทัศน์ของสผ.ค คือสร้างสมดุลทรัพยากรธรรมชาติและสิ่งแวดล้อมอย่างยั่งยืนในปี 2580
เราก็มีพันธกิจหลักนะคะในเรื่องของการจัดทำนโยบายและแผนการบริหารจัดการทรัพยากรธรรมชาติและสิ่งแวดล้อมระดับประเทศนะคะซึ่งก็รวมถึงในเรื่องของแผนบริหารจัดการความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพด้วยนะคะนอกจากนั้นนะคะทางสผ.เป็นฝ่ายเลขาหรือว่า focal point นะคะของการขับเคลื่อนอนุสัญญาว่าด้วยการจัดการความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพนะคะแล้วก็อนุสัญญาการจัดการพื้นที่ชุ่มน้ำหรือว่าแรมซ่าด้วยนะคะซึ่งในส่วนเรื่องนี้นะคะก็จะสอดคล้องกับการบริหารจัดการในพื้นที่ป่าพรุควรเคร่งนะคะอันนี้นะคะเป็นโครงการที่ได้รับการสนับสนุนนะคะจากกองทุนสิ่งแวดล้อมโลกหรือว่า JEF นั่นเองนะคะที่จะก่อให้เกิดการส่งเสริมนะคะสร้างองค์ความรู้นะคะให้ประชาชนเกิดการมีส่วนร่วมนะคะจะได้เกิดความตระหนักและเข้าใจในการใช้ระบบนิเวศป่าพรุอย่างยั่งยืนนะคะรวมทั้งในเรื่องของการบริหารจัดการน้ำนะคะและการป้องกันไฟป่าด้วยนะคะซึ่งในเรื่องนี้นะคะก็หวังว่านะคะจะทำให้เกิดการใช้ประโยชน์อย่างคุ้มค่าและมีความยั่งยืนต่อไปค่ะ
UNDP ในฐานะหน่วยงานสำคัญในการประสานงานความช่วยเหลือในด้านการพัฒนาของสหประชาชาติมีบทบาทส่งเสริมการเปลี่ยนแปลงและเชื่อมโยงประเทศต่างๆด้วยความรู้ประสบการณ์และทรัพยากรทั้งในด้านการเกษตรอุตสาหกรรมการศึกษาและสิ่งแวดล้อมเพื่อช่วยให้ประชาชนมีชีวิตที่ดีกว่าการดำเนินโครงการเสริมศักยภาพการจัดการระบบนิเวศป่าพรุเพื่อเพิ่มความสามารถในการกักเก็บคาร์บอนและอนุรักษ์ความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพอย่างยั่งยืนจึงสอดคล้องกับเป้าหมายการพัฒนาที่ยั่งยืนหรือ SDG 17 เป้าหมายของ UN โดยเฉพาะการรับมือการเปลี่ยนแปลงสภาพภูมิอากาศ
Another lesson that this project has taught us, and it's especially important in the context of the COVID pandemic, which is hitting so dramatically the countries around the world, including here in Thailand, is how we need to rethink the link between nature and people. And what we have seen with the involvement of the local communities in Nakhon Si Thammarat, where this project is being implemented, is their involvement, not only as beneficial parties to the project, but as actors of the project, has allowed us to rethink this relationship, the harmony, the cohabitation between the people and how they take better care of their environment. This is very important because the peat swamp is also a natural habitat to many species, but it's also a source of income. We have been able to empower women through increasing their income with handicrafts. We have seen climate action, we have seen biodiversity preservation, we have seen, of course, poverty reduction. So all those very important goals in one single intervention, something that we can be very proud of and can really take as a good practice to elevate this at the level of the whole country, the region, and beyond. In closing, I'd like to thank all the partners that have been instrumental in the success of this project, the central and the local governments, but very importantly, the local communities.
ป่าพรุเป็นป่าชุ่มน้ำที่มีลักษณะพิเศษเฉพาะตัวพื้นที่ป่าพรุดั้งเดิมและป่าพรุที่กำลังฟื้นตัวคือบ้านของป่าเสม็ดทุ่งนาทุ่งกระจูดและแหล่งเพาะพันธุ์ของสัตว์ป่าหลากหลายชนิดป่าพรุจึงมีคุณค่าต่อการศึกษาวิจัยเกี่ยวกับวิวัฒนาการของพืชและสัตว์การเปลี่ยนแปลงทางธรณีวิทยาและการเปลี่ยนแปลงสภาพของดินและอากาศในช่วงเวลาต่างๆป่าพรุยังมีศักยภาพต่อการช่วยรักษาสมดุลระบบนิเวศของโลกช่วยควบคุมสภาพภูมิอากาศในระดับท้องถิ่นลดโลกร้อนและป้องกันการปนเปื้อนทางมลภาวะได้อย่างมีประสิทธิภาพรูปแบบการฟื้นฟูป่าพรุมี 2 ลักษณะคือการฟื้นฟูในที่ที่เกิดไฟไหม้และพื้นที่ที่ไม่มีไฟไหม้โดยในพื้นที่ที่ได้รับความเสียหายจากไฟไหม้จำเป็นต้องมีการปลูกป่าเพื่อฟื้นฟูระบบนิเวศโดยปล่อยให้ไม้เสม็ดได้ฟื้นฟูกลับมาเองโดยธรรมชาติแล้วค่อยๆเลือกตัดไม้เสม็ดที่หนาแน่นเกินออกไปสำหรับพื้นที่ที่ไม่เคยได้รับความเสียหายจากไฟไหม้และพื้นที่ที่มีการบุกรุกปลูกยางพาราและปาล์มน้ำมันมีการปลูกเสริมไม้ป่าพรุหรือไม้มีค่าเช่นตะเคียนทองยางนาพะยอมพะยูงเข้าไปเพราะเจริญเติบโตได้ดีในภูมิทัศน์พรุนอกจากนี้ในที่ทำกินของชาวบ้านได้ส่งเสริมให้มีการปลูกไม้มีค่าเพิ่มเติมเข้าไปเพื่อ พื่อลดความเสี่ยงการเข้าไปตัดไม้ในพื้นที่ป่าพรุโดยเน้นการปลูกแบบหน้าบ้านหลังครัวริมรั้วขอบแดนและส่งเสริมการจัดทำเรือนเพาะชำชุมชนช่วยสร้างเศรษฐกิจชุมชนพื้นที่ป่ามีความสำคัญในเรื่องของการกักเก็บคาร์บอนมากโดยจะกักเก็บไว้ในส่วนของลำต้นกิ่งรากและดินแต่ว่าป่าพรุสามารถกักเก็บได้ดีกว่าเพราะมีลักษณะดินพรุโครงการจึงได้เข้ามาศึกษาวิจัยความสามารถในการกักเก็บคาร์บอนโดยเปรียบเทียบระหว่างพื้นที่ป่าพรุดั้งเดิมที่ป่าเสม็ดและป่าพรุที่ถูกเปลี่ยนแปลงการใช้ประโยชน์ที่ดินพบว่าการกักเก็บคาร์บอนในดินระหว่างป่าพรุดั้งเดิมและป่าเสม็ดมีความใกล้เคียงกันแต่ป่าพรุดั้งเดิมจะกักเก็บคาร์บอนในลำต้นได้มากกว่าเพราะมีไม้ลำต้นขนาดใหญ่และขึ้นอยู่อย่างหนาแน่นมากกว่าป่าไม้เสม็ดขาวขณะที่พื้นที่ตัวอย่างทดลองในสวนปาล์มพบว่าปาล์มที่มีอายุ2 ปีมีปริมาณคาร์บอนในดินลดลงไม่มากแต่ยิ่งสวนปาล์มมีอายุมากขึ้นปริมาณคาร์บอนยิ่งลดลงรวดเร็วโครงการได้มีการสร้างหอคอยและติดตั้งเครื่องมือตรวจวัดสภาพอุตุและการศึกษาอุทกวิทยาของพรุควรเคร่งเพื่อหาแนวทางบริหารจัดการน้ำอย่างยั่งยืนด้วยแบบจำลองไม้ชีโดยพบว่าแนวทางที่เหมาะสมคือควรมีการก่อสร้างทำนบชั่วคราวหรืออาคารปิดกั้นทางน้ำไหลออกและระดับของทำนบหรือพื้นที่ปิดล้อมในพื้นที่นำร่องควรใช้ระดับไม่เกิน30 เซนติเมตรเหนือระดับผิวพรุโครงการเสริมศักยภาพการจัดการระบบนิเวศป่าพรุเพื่อเพิ่มความสามารถในการกักเก็บคาร์บอนและอนุรักษ์ความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพมีโครงสร้างคณะทำงานมาจากหลายภาคส่วนทั้งคณะกรรมการกำกับโครงการและคณะทำงานระดับพื้นที่ประกอบด้วยด้านวางแผนยุทธศาสตร์ภูมิทัศน์ป่าพรุควรเคร่งวางแผนการใช้ประโยชน์ที่ดินตำบลเคร่งฟื้นฟูป่าควบคุมไฟป่าและบริหารจัดการน้ำโดยผลสำลิดหลักของโครงการที่เป็นรูปธรรมคือแผนยุทธศาสตร์การจัดการพรุอย่างมีส่วนร่วมในพื้นที่ภูมิทัศน์พรุควรเคร่งฐานข้อมูลสำหรับป่าพรุทั้งหมดในประเทศไทยคู่มือการจัดการน้ำอย่างยั่งยืนในป่าพรุควรเคร่งคู่มือการจัดการเรือนเพาะชำและการฟื้นฟูระบบนิเวศป่าพรุอย่างมีส่วนร่วมคู่มือตรวจวัดคาร์บอนอย่างง่ายหลักสูตรการฝึกอบรมการป้องกันการบุกรุกและป้องกันไฟป่าโดยชุมชนมีส่วนร่วมศูนย์การเรียนรู้นำร่องหลักสูตรท้องถิ่นเชิงบูรณาการสาระการเรียนรู้ภูมิทัศน์พรุควรเคร่งนอกจากนี้ยังได้มีการขยายผลของโครงการลงพื้นที่ชุมชนสร้างเครือข่ายและจัดกิจกรรมอบรมให้ความรู้แก่ภาคส่วนต่างๆและเยาวชนเพื่อให้ความรู้รณรงค์สร้างจิตสำนึกและสร้างการมีส่วนร่วมในการอนุรักษ์ป่าพรุพร้อมจัดทำสารคดีพรุบ้านฉันโดยใช้นักแสดงที่มีชื่อเสียงอนันดาเอเวอริงแฮมเข้ามาเป็นตัวแทนพาเข้าไปสัมผัสธรรมชาติและความเป็นอยู่ของชาวบ้านรอบป่าพรุเพื่อรณรงค์ให้คนทั่วไปได้รู้จักและเห็นคุณค่าของป่าพรุในแง่มุมต่างๆการดำเนินโครงการจะเป็นไปตามเป้าหมายจะสร้างการเปลี่ยนแปลงมุมมองต่อการอนุรักษ์พื้นที่ป่าพรุให้ยั่งยืนได้ต้องอาศัยปัจจัยสำคัญหลักอีกประการคือการมีส่วนร่วมและเข้าใจบริบทต่างๆของคนในพื้นที่ป่าพรุ
จิตสำนึกของพี่น้องประชาชนเนี่ยผมว่าสำคัญนะครับเพราะอะไรเพราะว่าคนที่อยู่กับป่าพรุทุกวันเนี่ยก็คือประชาชนไม่ใช่พวกผมไม่ใช่ตำรวจไม่ใช่ป่าไม้นะครับประชาชนถ้าไม่มีจิตสำนึกแล้วว่าป่าพรุนั้นมีความสำคัญต่อชีวิตของตัวเองและลูกหลานตัวเองอย่างไรต่อมนุษย์โลกอย่างไรเนี่ยนะแน่นอนเหลือเกินนะครับว่าก็จะมีการบุกรุกไปเรื่อยๆและทำลายเรื่อยโดยอ้างเศรษฐกิจอ้างความต้องการอ้างครอบครัวขยายนั้นทำอย่างไรที่จะสร้างความตระหนักรู้นะครับให้กับพี่น้องประชาชนนะได้มีความรู้สึกรักและหวงแหนถ้าเขาขาดป่าพรุไปผลกระทบที่เขาจะได้รับนะนอกเหนือจากที่สังคมจะได้รับหรือโลกจะได้รับแล้วเนี่ยสิ่งที่ใกล้ตัวที่สุดของเขาจะรับคืออะไรนั้นการสร้างการรับรู้การสร้างความเข้าใจให้กับพี่น้องประชาชนนะเป็นความสำคัญที่สุด
ในฐานะที่ผมเป็นฝ่ายเลขาทำอย่างไรที่ผมจะผลักดันให้เป็นแผนงานกิจกรรมโครงการนะครับ ซึ่งในแต่ละยุทธศาสตร์นี้ก็จะมีแผนงานที่มาจากเวทีว่าเขาต้องการจะทำอะไรนะครับแล้วหน่วยงานไหนบ้างมีส่วนร่วมแล้วก็จะมีการจัดลำดับความสำคัญแผนงานกิจกรรมโครงการที่ได้มาจากเวทีทั้ง6ยุทธศาสตร์กระจายไปยังส่วนราชการที่เกี่ยวข้อง
พี่ภูมิใจตรงที่ว่านักเรียนเราเนี่ยรักป่ามากขึ้นถ้าเป็นเมื่อก่อนเนี่ยเด็ดทิ้งขว้างกันอย่างโน้นอย่างนี้แต่ว่าตอนนี้ก็คือไม่ได้ครูอย่าเที่ยวทำคือแบบบางทีต้นไม้เล็กๆบางทีมันเพิ่งขึ้นมาอย่างเนี้ยถ้าเป็นก่อนหน้านี้ที่พี่สอนนะก็คือเหยียบย่ำไปก็ไม่คิดอะไรแต่ตอนนี้รู้สึกว่าเขาค่อยๆมีขึ้น
ผมได้เข้ามาตรงนี้นะครับผมรู้สึกว่าใจมันชอบกับป่าพรุมากครับแล้วก็มันอยากจะอยู่กับป่าพรุไปนานๆเลยครับตลอดชีวิตของผมเลยครับ
ตลอดระยะเวลา 4 ปีที่ผ่านมา ได้รับความร่วมมือจากทุกภาคส่วนขับเคลื่อนการทำงานให้มีความก้าวหน้าและสามารถผลักดันเป้าหมายโครงการให้สำเร็จเป็นรูปธรรมขึ้นมาได้คณะทำงานยังมุ่งหวังให้การอนุรักษ์ป่าพรุขยายผลไปสู่วาระแห่งชาติโดยสาระสำคัญของร่างแผนการจัดการป่าพรุระดับชาติต้องมีมาตรการและแนวทางเพื่อการป้องกันการสูญเสียพื้นที่พรุทั้งทางตรงและทางอ้อมสร้างความรู้ความตระหนักในคุณค่าและความสำคัญของพื้นที่พรุให้แก่ประชาชนตลอดจนการนำทรัพยากรจากพื้นที่พรุมาใช้ต่อยอดเพื่อเพิ่มมูลค่าให้เกิดการใช้ประโยชน์อย่างยั่งยืน
Hello. Well, this video was recorded last year. We have sponsored for this work by Global Environmental Fund, passed through UNDP and through the Department of Environmental and Natural Resource Planning of Thailand, Office Planning Office of Thailand. Thanks for their support for this video. However, we have small video to show you just some activity. After that, we have a break. Okay, about 5 minutes, I think, for the next video to show how people living. You can see that they cut this grass for making handicraft. Also, the raising cattle and fishing in the fish swamp. They use the canoe into the area. Some of the canal or small stream that quite big concern. We have to actually, if we want to preserve the swamp, we have to block some of canal or stream to keep the water level to the previous level. But now the area has been drained quite a lot because of the oil palm cultivation. And some of them, they want to turn the area to rice field. So, question how to keep the water there, how to keep the water to the certain level, to keep the peat going on. That for honeybee.
ไม่ต้องไปเผามันกลางคืนไม่ต้องจุดไฟมีจุดป้องกัน
Work for honey.
ตุ้งปุ๋ยเปล่าเราทำมั่วมันก็เลยเต้เลย
And you can see how they get honey from the Melaleuca forest. Melaleuca forest, actually this area used to be fertile forest before, but after hurricane, when I was young, that about 50 years ago, hurricane destroy all the healthy forest, and new
ชาวบ้าน
pioneer
บ้านเนี่ยมาซื้อไป
addition to
ไป
grasses
ปลูกกว้างนั้น
also
นะ
Melaleuca
แต่ว่า
forest.
เรือจากนั้นก็ป่าตรง
And Melaleuca is the house at the home of the honeybee.
หรือว่าลอยมังงุกลอยมัง
So
เนี่ย
it has some kind of importance. And they use people use Melaleuca forest, Melaleuca tree
ใต้ดินสุด
for making
มันดินแต่ก่อนน่ะ
fence
มันยุบ
or
ตรงนั้น
using at a
มันยุบเป็นอ่าวลึกเยอะ
in household
แล้วก็เต้าว่า
requirement.
เรียกตายนั่นก็คือตายดินสุดจุดมัน
This
อยู่
is
ตัวเลย
said gratis for handicraft.
แป๊บเดียว
You see how they cut
เกือบกำ
cut
เลย
this grass. We call kajut. In Thailand we call local name kajut
ตีเจ็ดหัว
or
เจ้านะ
says grass.
ตีเก้าเราขึ้นใจแล้วเราได้แล้ว
So this lady said
สามโลเรามาโน่นบ้าน
in the early morning
ไปเลยก็ได้
they can earn about 10 US dollar for this morning from cutting
เอามา
says grass
โซ่
or kajut.
แล้วก็กลุก
When they cut it,
ตาก
after that they mix with what we call
ก็มาเหยียบไป
with,
เบน
muddy water. The way they're working to prevent the decay of grass.
เป็นผลิตภัณฑ์ต่างๆ
After that,
เดี๋ยว
they bring
ออ
it
เดอร์ก็มาแบบไหน
to make
ก็ตั้งแบบไหน
handicraft
ก็ทำไม้ก็ตามออเดอร์
ออเดอร์จริงๆก็คือมีญี่ปุ่นเคนยา
ค
ฝ
รับ
รั่งเศสแล้วก็เยอรมัน
from the
แต่ว่า
same
ไอ้ที่
grass
ว่าลูกค้าต่างประเทศที่สนใจอ่ะ
Shape into
คือมัน
different
มีเยอะ
shape
มากอินเดีย
and after they
เกาหลี
die
จีน
different color. Get it? That the way that fish in the swamp. Show you the way of living.
ถ้ามองในภาพรวมจริงๆ ป่าผู้ควรเคร่งนะครับ บทบาทที่สำคัญในทางนิเวศอีก
You
อันหนึ่
can
งก็
you
คือ
can
เราเป็น
you can go anywhere accessible by
เชื่อมป่า
by canoe
เชื่อม
or small
ลุ่ม
boat.
น้ำสองลุ่มน้ำเข้าด้วยกัน ก็คือลุ่มน้ำปากพนังกับลุ่มน้ำทะเลสาบสงขลาตัวชื่อคอริดอร์นี้ครับสำคัญมากนะครับ
Home
โดย
of
เฉพาะบทบาท
home
ที่
of
ทำให้
many
สัตว์ป่า
kind of
นะครับ
animals
ไปมาหาสู่กัน
and
อีก
rare
อันหนึ่ง
birds.
ก็คือการกรองน้ำพวกมลพิษต่างๆนะครับก่อนที่จะไหลลงไปสู่ทะเลน้อย
This is a small
เป็นแหล่งแรมซ่า
small
ไซต์ที่ได้
swamp
ประกาศเป็นอันดับ
next to the last one.
แรมซ่าไซต์ก็
It is a Ramsar
ชุ่
site
มชื้น
area
ที่ยังมีอุดมสม
คน
บูรณ์
ที่เสีย
ด้วยแหล่งธรรมชาติไม่
คน
ว่า
ที่
จะ
เสีย
เป็น
ใน
นะครับ
swamp
ฝูง
It's
นก
next to
น้ำนะครับ
to
ที่
the
มี
last
นกอพยพและนกท้องถิ่น
คนเข่ง
ก็
swamp
มีโดยปกติที่จากการสำรวจพบ
Just
เจอ
connected
ประมาณ 187 สายพันธุ์ และจุดสำคัญก็คือฝูงควายน้ำควายปลัก
There
ไฟ
is
แต่ที่เราเรียก
buffalo
ว่าควายน้ำเพราะคือ
they call water buffalo
สามารถว่ายน้ำ
because it's the
ดำน้ำ
buffalo they
เพื่อจะ
they
ปรับตัว
they
ให้ตัวของ
feed
ควาย
or
น้ำได้
can
อยู่
live
รอ
in
ด
the
ในช่วง
water
หน้าน้ำหลาก พอความอุดมสมบูรณ์ของ
Like
แหล่งธรรม
eating
ชาติเกิดขึ้น
in
นัก
the
ท่องเที่ยวก็ห
flood
ลั่งไหลเข้า
season
มาใน
they
ชุม
eat
ชนมากขึ้น
grasses at the water
อาชีพต่อมาก็
or
คือ
some
อาชีพในการ
water
ขาย
plants
ของขายของที่ระลึก โดยใช้ภูมิปัญญาของชาวบ้านในท้องถิ่น
handicraft
อา
to
ทิ
show
เช่น
handicraft
ผลิตภัณฑ์ทางการเกษตร
from kajut
แปร
or
รูป
from
ผลิตภัณฑ์
said
ปลา
grass
น้ำจืด
I mentioned
แปร
before
รูปปลาดุกร้า
fish
นะครับ นั่นก็คืออาชีพหลักอีก
Dry
อาชีพหนึ่ง
fish
ที่ส่งเสริมรายได้ให้กับพี่น้องในชุมชน
even the community live there with quite happy family, happy community because all more the food it got from the swamp.
สังเกตไหมครับ ปัจจัย 4 เลยนะครับ ชุมชนใช้ประโยชน์จาก
You
ป่า
to
ไม้
sell the
นิ
products
เวศบริการอีกอันหนึ่งก็
the
คือ
products from
มูล
the
ค่า
swamp.
ทางการศึกษา อันนี้ประเมินมูลค่าไม่ได้นะครับ เพราะว่าหลายท่าน
It's
คงทราบว่าตอนนี้นะครับ
the
ในระบบนิเวศ
valuable
ทั่วโลก
resource
ให้ความสำคัญ
for community.
นะครับและตระหนัก
This
แต่
Melaleuca
ที่
forest.
มากที่สุดก็คือระบบนิเวศพื้นที่ชุ่มน้ำ
ทั่วโลกเนี่ยก็จะมีพื้นที่ป่าปลูกทั้งหมดเนี่ยประมาณ 2,500 ล้านไร่นะคะ ก็ถือว่าคิดว่าเป็น1 ใน 3 ของพื้นที่ป่าบกทั้งหมดของโลกนะคะก็จะเห็นว่าหากเราบริหารจัดการป่าปลูกได้ดีเนี่ยนอกจากเพิ่มเรื่องประโยชน์ความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพแล้วเนี่ยก็จะมีส่วนช่วยในเรื่องของการเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพในการเก็บคาร์บอนแล้วก็ช่วยในการลดภาวะโลกร้อนด้วยนะคะ
อีกอันหนึ่งที่
Nation
เป็นความหมายอย่างหนึ่ง
forest
ก็คือว่านักวิจัย
and
ผู้กำหนดนโยบาย ส่วนกลาง
Peat swamp
ได้
forest.
แลกเปลี่ย
They
น
are
เรื่อง
about
ความ
1/3
รู้
of
ด้วย
all forests in
จาก
the world.
ภูมิปัญญาพื้นถิ่นที่มีอยู่เนี่ยเราก็ได้ความรู้ไปด้วยค่ะสร้างความรู้ความเข้าใจจนวันหนึ่งเราสามารถมีกลไกการขับเคลื่อนในเชิงนโยบายไม่ว่าจะเป็นระดับพื้นที่จนถึงระดับกลางหรือระดับ
But
สากล
honey
เนี่ยในบริบทประเท
from
ศไท
the
ยนะคะ
honeybee,
มี
from the
การ
honeybee.
นำใช้
Normally
เครื่อง
honeybee
มื
they
อใน
hunt
เชิง
the
นโยบายเนี่ยได้
sugar
อย่างเหมาะสม
or
จะหมายไปทาง
juice
ความยั่งยืนของระบบนิเวศและความ
from
ยั่งยืนของ
Melaleuca
ที่
forest.
ชุมชนด้วย
Melaleuca forest grow
สุภาษิต
quite a
ของ
large
ภาคใต้
area there
สุภาษิต
because
อย่าง
that is
นะ
the
ก็คือ
quite pioneer
คน
species.
เฒ่าคนแก่
After
ไผ่สี
the Henry
อยู่ได้
forest
เพราะ
is
ข้าวห
gone,
ลามความหมายจริง ๆ ก็คือ
is the water
ถ้าเรา
buffalo.
จะอนุรักษ์อะไรไว้สักอย่างนะครับเราต้องเอามาใช้ประโยชน์
Quite popular
พอใช้ประโยชน์
water
นะครับ
buffalo
ทุก
there
คนจะเห็น
because
ค่านะครับ
for
พอเห็น
tourists
ค่าเขาคงไม่อยากให้สิ่ง
to
ที่ตัว
see
เองคิดว่ามี
buffalo,
ค่า
water
หาย
buffalo
ไป
in the area. Well, I think we should have a break after this for 15 minutes. So we come back at okay after the in Thailand 10:50. Okay, in Thailand 10:50. So we come back at 10:50. You have a break, have a coffee. Thank you very much. We see you after break. Okay, thank you. Hello everybody. After break, we start the next one. As I mentioned before, that we are focusing on the Songkhla Lake Basin, and our peat swamp will cover two areas, Songkhla Lake Basin and up north the other basin we call Pak Penang Basin. I show in the map before, and also activity of people exploiting the peat swamp. To repeat again, I repeat because of some of them, you know, they need video to see later on. They may not easy to join at the present time. So the details in the slide can tell them what our session about. Formerly, and I told you, the swamp was sea, and then it filled with it became a field lagoon, and the peat swamp gradually became a dense swamp forest, and after that, succession state. But after the great hurricane in the year 1962, that when I was young, followed by the forest fire, resulting in a forest limit, and plant succession began. But now, if we go to this land, this peat land, it dominated by Melaleuca forest. That Melaleuca is a good place for honeybee. And when people hunting for honeybee, they use fire, torch. And if they do not distinguish the fire properly, it can catch fire. The swarm catch fire easily, particularly in the dry season. That some people blame for those honeybee hunter that the peat swarm or the peat catch fire because of honeybee hunter. So anyway, the reason, the cause of fire can come from many factors. Somebody they need for the empty land for growing oil palm. Some they need the place for households, building or whatever, you know, and they claim each other that because of you, because of that, you know, that cause area catch fire easily. Okay. Actually, due to its large area consisting of many small swampy lands, such it should be named Kwan Kreng swamp system. It should be consistent, not only Kwan Kreng, because the center is Kwan Kreng swamp, and small or baby swamp should be called the system of the swamp, rather than a single Kwan Kreng peat swamp. However, as for this study, we consider the largest swamp in the middle of the area named Kwan Kreng swamp. Okay. The nature of the land is mainly swampy in the north of the lake. The lowland area is flush for most of the year. Lepironia species and Melaleuca plant are all over the place. In the Konkan swamp, it was found that there were at least 293 species of plant that after our study, and not less than 135 species of wildlife, and with variety of fish resource in 30 species, 13 family, benthic and adhesion animal in 3 phylums. The overall water quality is in the standard water for general natural water source. From the survey of the soil profile, it was found that the accumulation of the organic soil in all, we did only 3 samples in each point, had a thickness of 270 centimeters. That is about 2.2 meter thick of the peat. So compared to many other peatland in Indonesia, maybe up to 10, that to about 2 meters thick. That thick enough, to accumulate carbon with this area, huge area like this. It has been estimated that the total amount of carbon storage of Konkan swamp, including topsoil and insoil. Topsoil, it means the tree growing above the soil. We calculate the carbon store in the tree, in grass, and in the soil, as a peat, is at the total of about nearly 10 million tons of carbon. 10 million tons of carbon. Close. This, the total carbon sequestration per area of Konkan peat swamp is classified at a high level. We can classify a high level of accumulation. In the temperate area. In temperate area, we call the peatland or bog. In this area, it accumulates. Say somebody said the temperate area had a cool season, about 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter per year. That's very little compared to our tropical area in Konkan. That we have about 2.2 meter high. Probably in about 200 years, that I estimate that they're quite high compared to temperate zone. So peatland in the tropical area like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia have to be preserved to balance greenhouse effect. That's important for us to be aware of this. Households exploit peat swamp as a source of aquatic food, including shrimp, mollusks, crabs, fish, and aquatic plants, etc., and also a sort of forest products. The overall status is at the moderate level of fertility that we classify. We have a standard for classification. For forest, the level of fertility is relatively low because Konkan is destroyed by hurricane for a long time, and now what do you call it? The pioneer species is mainly Melaleuca. That fishing for local community, exploiting peat swamp ecosystem. In terms of physical, there was a moderate level of fertility, fish and benthic resources, and the socio-economic level are quite high. And for wildlife, the level of fertility is also high. We have standard to compare, so that I just brief to tell you. The reason of the assessment of the stress of Konkan swamp area are found to be a very severe level, severely critical. 3 biological indicators are: number 1, the decline in fish species; number 2, the decrease in the amount of production of fish, decrease in the amount of fish. It used to be a lot before, but I would say after 30, 40 years, it decreased quite a lot because the population increased. Number 3, decline in the threatened fish species. A decline in the threatened fish species that we can say that is quite severely critical. Also, the investment or encroachment of oil palm cultivation to the area. Now we think of how to block the canal or the stream, because before the growing the oil palm, they have to drain water. When they drain the water, it resulted in the peat become dry. When it become dry, CO2 release to the air, and also decomposition occur easily and catch fire easily. Because this have been drained, forest fire occur every year on a number of spots. Some years are very severe. The peatland had been partly drained by oil palm plantation, as I said before, but the protection is being launched. How to protect? And for flooding, it occurred in some year. Department of Wildlife National Park asked a university to advise on the project relating to water conservation. We advise that because of we have to think of evaporation rate. We have to think of the runoff water. How much water should be retained or maintained in the swampy to keep the peat wet on the year round. Eventually, we come out with the level in the dry season should be at about 10 or 20 or 30 centimeters above the ground. Sometimes when we destroy the peat, the peat, the water table will be sink or subside. When we have the peat, water level will rise up. Water table can move up and down, depend on amount of peat also, because you have to think that peat it acts as a spongy, absorb water. It's like a spongy-like character, absorb water and slowly drain water and keep the area moisture or wastewater all the year round. Once we drain the water out, oil palm plantation, they drain it out. We have to control the water there by blocking, constructing a small dam that we advise, and how tall or how high the dam should be constructed. How much water should be there in rainy water, and how much water should be left in the dry season. That's why we have to calculate the evaporation rate, runoff water, and water have to be enough for the agriculture nearby. Otherwise, we conflict with the farmer. We have a problem. That management is important. It's not easy. How local people, how local community can live there. How can we preserve the peatland? That's the question that you have to think about it. That very carefully. That's called management. In brief, for this peat swamp, it is in a tropical climate. Average annual rainfall about 2,000 millimeters per year. That's the average of southern Thailand, which is similar to Philippines, Malaysia, or Indonesia. The altitude of the area, it vary. You know, our swampy area in Kuan Kreng is sloped down from north to the south. You know, so the height, the altitude vary up to 40 meters in the west side. Topography, undulating, little slope. Peat depth, uneven, but in some place up to 3.5 meter depth in some point. So we have to calculate carefully. This quite important point. How much deep, how much depth of peat accumulated the whole area. The other story we have to do research and work more to know the exact amount of peat, but estimate by sampling method. When in some point 3.1, and some point, you know, in the high area may be different. Peatland type, field lagoon with organic materials. Water bodies, sea in the east, Songkhla Lake in the south. Main vegetation species Melaleuca and graduate or sage grass. That for handicrafts. Water quality vary with season. Rainy season at the standard water quality, but in dry season is below standard water quality. That's normal. Through collective action and enhanced cooperation to support and sustain local livelihood, reduce risks of fire and hazards, and contribute to global environment management is important. Sustainable development goal, you know, we think that how to relate to the UN Sustainable Development Goal. This story, this section, the Peat, about Peat, relate to should be number one to it. Number one is what the number one? Life, something like that. Number three, good health and well-being. Number three, number 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. Number 13, climate action. 15, life on earth. Number 17, partnership for the goal. I think number 1 is poverty or something like that. No, it should be number 1 too. But for peaceful management. National strategy or goal for peaceful management in Thailand is being proposed. We propose this to the government. You know, we mean that we work under many several projects, including UNDP or JEF project, and we propose. Now we pass through the Office of National Resource and Environment Planning, and they propose to the government. Just proposed last year, you know, a principle and reasoning why we propose. Fish swamp is a type of wetland that we mentioned before, that different ecological services from general wetland, which is important carbon reservoir. Fish swamp is forests are believed to be able to store 3 times as much as carbon as land forests. However, at present, the swamp area in Thailand are being destroyed both quality and quantity directly and indirectly continuously with the reason proposal. There are 4 threats to peat swamp area which are classified as high to severe threats. This is the principle or reason why we propose. Threats are threats to swampy land which are found for many reasons, both from the invasion of land possession, land use chain, and the development of swampy land for direct water source development. Number 2, threats to the water system, both from the use of the water from peat, blocking water system with the impact and water resource of the peat swamp. Number 3, the threats to the carbon sequestration due to the destruction of biodiversity that capture carbon. incineration and carbon emission, and reducing carbon sequestration efficiency. Number 4, threats from the natural disaster. Natural disaster like hurricane I mentioned before, especially the drought and climate change. Now, how to manage? This is the reason of the proposal. We have vision, okay, for this proposal for strategy. Peat swamp in Thailand can increase carbon sequestration efficiently to reduce the effect of global climate change. That's the vision for our proposal to the government now. I think in your country you may have different vision, but now because of that reason before, we propose to the government. They may consider, in the next plan, we call 13 plan, national planning. If they put in the national planning for the swamps, will be excellent. Peat swamp in Thailand, it can increase carbon sequestration. We look at carbon at a major point, efficiently to reduce the effect of global climate change. Goal of the vision. Number 1, to preserve peat swamp area to maintain the ecological system for carbon storage. Number 2, to increase the protection of peat swamp area appropriately. Number 3, to restore peat swamp area to have a perfect ecological roles. Number 4, to have a balanced management on carbon release and storage. That's the goal. The target. Some people they say, oh, the goal enough, no more target. The target, number 1, at least 3 main peat swamp sites. 3 main sweeps will be inspected and restored within 20 years. At least 3 main. We have 27, 26 now. At least 3 main. We need 3 main until 20 years. Because when we work, it's not easily. We have conflict with the local people. So we have to convince them how to work together, how to preserve the peat land. But people said, we have peat land for hunting. Why you have to preserve too much? I can use for agriculture. So we have a target. 20 years, at least 3 peat swamp sites. Number 2, no illegal encroachment on peat swamp areas. No illegal encroachment. So what the meaning of illegal encroachment? It should be no encroachment at all. But people said, we have to use the land to balance the uses, and ecology. That they call wide use. That philosophy of wetland, of the global wetland philosophy, is wide use. That important word. Wide use, it has to be balance of use and ecology. Number 3, restore progressive carbon sequestration on peat swamp area. Number 4, establish an agency responsible for the management of the peat swamp with high carbon storage system. What agency or where or who going to be responsible for this? If you use government agency, I would say not enough. So people or local community have to participate in this agency, or educational institution, research or whatever should involve also. So we propose member who are going to be the head of this office. We propose in our proposal to the government, and leader of the community should involve and listen together before you do anything. Strategy one, preventing the loss of peat swamp area, both directly and indirectly. Strategy 2, conservation and rehabilitation of peat swamp area. Strategy 3, building public awareness. That's important. Building public awareness on the value and importance of peat swamp to people. Therefore, we should have meeting and training this. Number 4, promoting study and research relating to the status of peat swamp conservation. But this is why there's sometimes scientific data is important to convince the people or to convince the government. Conservation of peat swamp as well as the use of resources from peat swamp to add value and for sustainable uses. Strategy 5, continuous monitoring status of peat swamp. It doesn't mean after we establish the agency, but no monitoring. Who going to work? Who is responsible for this? That's why I said local people, local community should understand. They have to understand and how to work together. Strategy 6, increasing the readiness of organization related to peat swamp management as well as participation of stakeholders. Well, for this one, I would say that the last 6 months, we had a meeting. A guy from Department of Water Resource. He asked me, why peat important? They want to change into the reservoir, water reserve for the people. Why not they can establish a pond or dig up the soil to change to water, to reservoir. He said, I just know today that peat acts as a spongy. They slowly release water and can keep water in the dry season to supply water to the area. So that the way of thinking is changed, you know. Instead of destroy them, dig them. What happens if we dig the peatland? What I said, when you dig the peatland, oxygen enter the peat. What happens eventually? That question. Oxidation occur, release CO2, carbon dioxide to the air, and if it some years is dry enough, it's catch fire. People said, "Oh, the peat catch fire come from burning by man. It possible from the natural fire or natural wood fire. When you have to think about this, where the fire comes from, For me, as a scientist, it's possible that I think may be wrong. When the peat dry up, you see plenty of branch of tree dry. When the wind comes, a strong wind, this branch can you know what do you call touch each other and enough temperature and catch fire easily too. That's why I think it comes from the bush fire, like bush fire or forest fire, not necessary to be by burning by man or by encroachment. And think about it, you know. And some said probably because of some said because of gas release. When you open up the land, oxygen enter the peat, CO2 release, also methane release. It's possible or not? This kind of gas can catch fire easily if touch each other, you know. Well, I don't know. This is possible. You can do research on this. But methane normally, what do you call the temperature to catch fires should be high enough. I don't know, 60 degree, 70 degree enough to catch fire. if other methanes. Okay. So this is our question for research also. And that's what I think, maybe wrong. Okay. Strategy 5, continuous monitoring status of peat swarm. Strategy 6, increasing the readiness of organization in state to management, as well as participation of stakeholders. Okay, that I mentioned before. Measure and guidelines. You have measure and guideline. Strategy 1, preventing the loss of peat swarm area, both directly and indirectly. Measure 1, improve peat area management. Require peat swarm to be carbon storage of the country with efficiency and strict conservation zone. That's why we have to classify in zone. Zonation, this the buffer zone, then the conservation zone, whatever, protection zone. Measure 2, improve organization responsible for the swarm to provide agency responsible for the peat swarm with the capability to manage the country important carbon storage area. In Thailand now, normally the Ministry of Natural Resource and Environment responsible for this. But this ministry, there are many departments and different departments. The Department of Water Resource, Department of Wildlife, of National Park. Normally, this swarm under the control of Department of National Park and Wildlife, because non-hunting area situated in this swampy area. So who is going to be responsible for management? Well, when we propose, we use many departments, including Fishery Department, Land Use Department, Department of Natural Resource and Wildlife, and Department of Fishery, this Department of Water Resource. So that's pretty confusing. When you work, it's not easily. Who's going to be the leader? And who's going to be the chairman? That's quite difficult answer, Measure 3, solving the land use problem by expediting the resolution of the issue of overlapping right documents, because some document, conflict each other. So the problem of access to peat swamp area of the departments with action to solve the problem of the land encroachment and exploitation in swamp areas. Measure 4, present to determine the importance of carbon storage areas in accordance with the relevant convention. We have many conventions, we have to do anything that related to the convention. Measure 5, provide strategy, exploring and prioritizing the management of the peatland that are carbon storage in the conservation area around the country. Because we propose all over Thailand about 26 peat swamp or peatland area. The second largest is here. Measure 6, promote the use of land in organic soil areas appropriately in order to not release carbon. Measure. Quite a lot. Strategy 2, I may pass through quickly because you can see detail in the video record. Because if I read every word, it can be difficult for me too. Strategy 2, conservation and rehabilitation of peat swamp areas. Measure 1, accelerate the renovation of swamp forest by having the forest area cover more than 80% of the area. We need forest 80% to cover. Measure 2, so the problem water system stress of swampland and must maintain the water level in the swamp for the ecosystem. Measure 3, promote the participation process of the people and private sector in the rehabilitation of the swamp forest. Measure 4, promotes and support research and study on conservation and peat swamp carbon sink. 3, carbon management that we proposed. Establish carbon sequestration management system in the swamp area to carry out carbon credit, greenhouse gas emission, and climate change. Measure 2, provide support and compensation for community related to the swamp area for the pollution in carbon sequestration, how to compensate them. Measure 3, provide a monitoring system with efficiency in carbon sequestration and discharge continuously. Measure 4, promoting study and research relating to the status of peat swamp, conservation of peat swamp, as well as the use of resources from the peat swamp to add value and for sustainable use. We have measure to take basic research. Number 2, undertake research on appropriate techniques and practice for peatland management. Measure 3, undertake research and development to enhance existing, develop new use of peat for peatland product and resource. Measure 4, undertake research to assess and support community development and livelihood activity, building on the indigenous knowledge and practice. When people have a lot of indigenous knowledge from generation to generation, many generations, if you try to ask them to do something, it's quite not easy because they use the indigenous knowledge from generation to generation. So how to approach the new technique to them? You've got to be careful, in participation of the local people. 35, continuous monitoring system of peat swamp. Measure 1, develop a guideline for monitoring of peatland area for ecological change and management purposes. Measure 2, undertake regular monitoring of the peatland area, including peatland water quality and chemical condition. 6, so we have quite a lot, you have glance of pass through quickly. You want to know detail of the story, you can read it later on. The study seek increasing the readiness of organization related to peat swamp and management, as well as participation of stakeholders. Measure 1, support and enhance human resource and strengthen institution capacity. Measure 2, establish mechanism and organization training program, workshop, attachment and study tour. Measure 3, provide the general public and government agency with information on role of peatland in ecology and economy. Measure 4, provide necessary equipment. That's the question, where to get equipment for them, and training to appropriate authority in area with high risk, high fire risk. Normally, government, they have the what you call fire brigade or fire department office or fire office in this area that belong to the government employee in the area. They have the fire brigades there. Measure 5, enhance coordination among stakeholders relates to peatland management through network or working group. Okay. When that all the proposal we just made to the government, I don't know, in your country you have made, you have created this proposal or not. If not yet, please try to make proposal or to send a proposal to government to maintain, to conserve the peat swarm as we did just last year in Thailand. And some country may already had it, but in Thailand we are in the process of proposing to the government. Go. We show you just quickly key messages we have done. Just some way to work now. The key message just quickly. After we have about 15 minutes for discussion or question, probably I can finish these key messages in 10 minutes. Just pass through quickly by slide. Okay, the first one. The remain of peatland are carbon reservoir, hence to prevent global warming. This is all the key message, that for to prevent global warming. The other key message, peat swarm is a sort of food. Okay. The other one, dehydrated peat is easily flammable, causing the loss of accumulated carbon. These are the key words or key message, and it may be necessary for training or for meeting or whatever, or to train a person or community just shortly or quickly. May be useful or may not be useful for somebody, Add the water reservoir to help prevent flooding. This peat swarm. Add a food source. You tell the people that, oh, it's important because of it, a food source. But they know already, For local community, no. But for other people outside, they don't know too much. That they want to change to the oil palm plantation. It's better. I need oil palm plantation. I need to grow fruit cultivation of fruit plantation. No need for peat swarm. Why? Or what we should tell them? Or it is add a food source. Add seed grasses is the principal income of the corn peat swarm. The lady said that in the morning she cut the grass, that $30 US. In one day, just cutting the grass, For the next, this seed grasses. Seed is grass or kajut, we call kajut for local name in Thailand. It's the principal income of corn peat swarm. Okay, peat swarm resource light support, light supported. Some key messages. Peat swarm resource enhance quality of light, or whatever you can say, Retaining water in swarm, hence reduce fire. The people, local people, they construct a small dam to block, because they know that if the swarm is dry up, it cause a problem to the area. So they put small money, not much money, constructing a dam or with the what you call clay dam, the small dam. But it lasts not so very long. It may last 2 years, and it appear up the flooding. But people are also trying to block water, to keep the peat swarm or peat land underwater, as we said before. Biodiversity is normal found in the swamp for both rare plant and animal. Smoke or haze from the peat swarm destructive to the health. Or people complain a lot. In many countries, now, in Singapore, Malaysia, Southern Thailand, in Indonesia, there we have also suffered from smoke almost every year, particularly in the dry season. It lasts for a month or few weeks sometimes. The humus in the swamp absorb water like a sponge and slowly release it into the water by bodies. That's the key message. Swamp is a habitat for waterfalls. The migratory birds stop here and looking for fish to eat. Swamp water push seawater out, put the seawater out, not to move inland. You know, a lot of people don't know this. There is a pressure of water underneath swampy. Any swampy area or fish swamp area close to the sea, the pressure of water, they push each other. Water under the peatland area push seawater not to move in too much. What happens if you drain the peat swamp? Seawater or water from the river can move into it. River water okay, but seawater, salty water, that's a problem. So that swamp water push seawater out, not to move inland. Peat swamp deforestation is an ecological destruction. Don't cut the tree, leave it there. They absorb CO2 and store in the stem, in the wood. Also, it because upland or on land carbon stock, but inland still more because of peat. Swamp is a fishery resort that nourish the life of the community. Okay. Swamp is a sort of tourist attraction. You know, now in our place, there are many tourist centers. Without COVID-19 or without pandemic, more people will come to visit the area. You know, we have what we call boardwalk to visit the place. We have a center or office, you know, in the area. A lot of people come and relax to the swampy area. That in the lake, northern part of the lake, because Illinois, close to the swampy, close to Congress Peat Swamp. The swamp is a learning center for ecosystem in the community. Okay. Many rare fish found only in the peat swamp. The people fishing. To love peat swamp should restore the peat swamp. We are the students, school students, or people nearby. Please come and restore. Growing particular suitable plant. You have to grow suitable plant that's suitable for peat swamp or for peat land. It has to tolerate to acidic condition. It tolerates to water locking. That's important. It doesn't mean you can grow any kind of fruit. You cannot grow apple. You cannot grow rambutan. You cannot grow even rubber. You know. You have to know that underneath is acidic soil, acidic condition, and also flood sometimes. If you grow the wrong plants, destroy on. Rare birds found in the swamp. Swamp is the learning center, they said before. Students go and see what different kind of water plant there. If the swamp is gone, life is lonely. This is a message. Life will be lonely. So keep the swamp there. Okay. Peat swamp hence filter wastewater and filtering wastewater. Turning the soil or digging peat swamp cause acidic water. Okay. So leave it there as much as it can. If you dig the soil like this, make it into a pond, disaster will come. Disaster if you dig the soil in the peat swamp. Swamp is a tourist place, getting happiness from the nature. Is happy to visit the peat swamp. Preserving swamp by growing the right plant, okay, it's been before. Use in the future of the swamp. Use and also man now, you know, also useful for the swamp. Selecting farming type without destroying swamp. This is a wide use of the swamp. Farming system have to go together. Accumulate soil carbon in swamp, preventing global warming, as said many times. Swamp is a reservoir for flood protection. Okay, mentioned before. This is only key message. Swamp water is used for daily life. Sustainable of swamp needs public hearing. So it's important to hear others. Swamp store water for dry season. Okay, going to finish now. Swamp is the place where waterfall lay eggs. Swamp is a sort of protein. Fish. Thank you. That's my presentation. Thank you very much, everybody. So we have little time for discussion or comment or whatever you need. This my session is ended now. Thank you very much. If you have any question, please. Well, any more questions or discussion, please? The connection from some places not very good, not good enough. So we cannot hear. If you write it down and send us your question, can be very helpful. Okay. Okay now. If no more question or comments, we have to finish my speak this morning. And thank you everybody for participation. If you have any question or suspicious in something, you can read from our slides in the PowerPoint presentation had been shown to you. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Noparat. It's very well presented. To Mr. Tulalingam, could you can contact us through the email. You know, we will send that to passed on to Dr. Noparat, and we get whatever clarification if you need.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chapchai. Thank you. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, sir.
Okay, any question? No? Yeah. Okay, finish now.